And we are up and running. It is 8:01 on the 29th of August. So we are watching Virgo time start to really come into play. And of course, Virgo is all about the harvest, and we're moving very rapidly toward the harvest. And for me, it's one of my favorite times of the year because apple orchards all over Illinois and Wisconsin and all of all of the regions around here are about to unfold their bounty for us. So it's a glorious time of year as we advance toward autumn colors and pumpkins and squash and all these wonderful, magnificent experiences that are available to us. So anyway, Muhammad is wishing me a good morning. And in reality, it's 8 p.m. here, Muhammad, in the Chicago area. I assume you must be on the other side of the world and enjoying your day. We've got Jennifer Caress-Smith and Liani is hanging out with us here. And what else is going on? Marie-Claude Gilbert has joined us. So anyway, wonderful to spend some time with you people this evening. We're going to be having some fun with A Course in Miracles. And Muhammad, especially, I just found out today that A Course in Miracles, to my knowledge, has not been translated into Arabic, which I think is kind of an oversight on behalf of somebody who is in charge of that sort of thing. So I hope that you are fluent enough in English or in French or one of the various languages that the course is available in, so that you can pick it up and play with it online. And for all of you, if you are English speaking, if you're able to read English comfortably, the course is online. You don't have to go out and buy a book. All you have to do is just go online and punch in ACIM online, and you will get a copy of the course delivered to your screen. And for those of you who are looking for it, well, doggone it, screwed up there. Get a link for you here. And here we go. So if you want to read A Course in Miracles, it is available and it is effortless. And I'm posting it even as I speak here. So it can be a resource for all of you who are into, there we go. It's listed as ACIM search miraclevision.com. So, and if you're into oneness, if you're working on the idea of non-duality, then A Course in Miracles is definitely a very powerful tool to work with. And in all of the holy texts, the Quran, the Bible, the New Testament, and the Old Testament, we are repeatedly told that the only thing that exists is God. And you find that in Buddhist philosophy and Hindu text. I mean, even in Zoroastrianism, no matter where you go, you'll always encounter that thought. It may get suppressed in other writings and may get overlooked and buried in these books. But the truth is, there is only one life. There is only one existence, and that is God. So what does that mean in applicable terms for all of us? It means that we exist in God. And if God is perfect love, then we exist in perfect love. So how did this material world come up where everything appears to be broken apart? Because, you know, that idea of the oneness within God, where there is no duality, where there is no objectification, that seems to be very contradictory to what we appear to be experiencing. And the Course helps us to comprehend that the way that all of this came into being, the physical universe, all of these tangible experiences that we're having, is that man fell into a state of sleep. In other words, a part of God fell asleep and had this dream about separation from God. And that's, you know, kind of a crazy idea, really, because if God is life itself, then separation from God would have to be death. And what do we see as we look around ourselves in this world? We see death on every corner. In order to keep your body alive, you have to kill something and consume it. You know, this world is a slaughterhouse, and it was designed to be that way. It was designed to reinforce the idea that death is real. And death most assuredly is not real. Death can occur for a physical body because a physical body is not who we are, and the physical body was never real to begin with. So we can watch this ephemeral world dissolve in front of us and cling to the body and hope and pray that we can ride out the storm, but ultimately you're going to lose the body and you're going to have to deal with that. And that's what A Course in Miracles is. It's dealing with the idea that we are non-corporeal beings, that we are in fact spirit, just like God. There was never a minute in your existence or in mine when we ceased to be a part of God. So within that, since God has no use for a body is a confinement. A body is a limitation that we have set for ourselves. God is limitless. God is eternity and beyond. God is that which is eternally perfect, unfolding throughout all of time and space, to the point where God is so big that time and space can't exist within God. So learning about our infinite nature is what we're doing with A Course in Miracles. And I'm going to start off this evening. Well, I thought I was going to start off this evening with a specific message. And well. I'm going to a little bit up here. And we are looking at lesson 283 in the workbook for A Course in Miracles. And lesson 283 says, "My true identity abides in you," capital Y-O-U. So we know it's the divine you, the you that we have given the name of God, the attribute of God. Anyway, it says, "Father, I made an image of myself, and it is this I call the Son of God." So here we're being led to the recognition that me, this personal self, was not created by God. This personal self, this ego self, is something that I created apart from God. And I created it within that dream I was speaking of. It says, "Yet it is creation, yet is creation as it always was. For your creation is unchangeable." In other words, my true self, the person I truly am, is unchangeable because it was created by God in God's image. So once again, we are confronted with the idea that we are God within God. There is no separation. It is seamless, and there is no duality. There is no sense of you and me when we return to our original and perfect state of consciousness. There is no need for hidden thoughts and for shielding ourselves and protecting ourselves. That's only what the ego is committed to. The ego is trying to stay alive, even though it really, in truth, never existed to begin with. It was delusional. We had a very absurd dream, and we're playing it out in space and time. We're remembering the dream, but the dream is already over. So it says, let me not worship idols. And by idols, they're referring to things in the objectified world. Number one idol would be that sense of personal me, the ego. And then all of the attributes of our physical reality. Getting that new car, getting that bigger house, getting ahead of the Jones next door. All of these processes are really a pursuit of something that once you attain it, you're left empty. You know, it's like next, we're always on that quest for whatever is next. How many people are truly happy with everything that they've got? How many people do you know who just reside in that state of being at peace with life in the world? You know, not too many. I would imagine most of the people that you encounter who have that state of consciousness have been very committed to their spiritual return to higher awareness. So anyway, continuing here, it says, my holiness remains the light of heaven and the love of God. Imagine that. Your little ego is always telling you how insignificant you are and how imperfect you are and how you need to buy this supplement and that addition and this makeup and all these things to make you better. See, that's how the ego thinks of itself. The ego always thinks of itself as diminished and is always trying to be better. How about if we stop that trying to be better and just relax into the truth of our true identity? Relax into that state of expanded awareness and arrive in a world where we recognize our perfection. If we are God in expression, then we have that same level of perfection that God has attained, or that God is. I don't think God ever was not perfect, but again, you know, that's another dialogue for another day. But if you can just stop looking at yourself as the ego, and of course the ego identifies with the body, so if you can get past that mirror in the morning without stopping to pick out all the things that are wrong and look at all the blemishes and do the extra highlighting around the eyebrows and all that stuff, if you can just relax into who you actually are, that state of perfection will begin to radiate out of you in a natural way. You have nothing that you can possibly do to make yourself better. You are perfect. But that perfection lies in your spiritual truth. So once again, if you're identifying with the ego, you're also going to have those concerns about, you know, how do I look, and am I attractive, and am I attractive in the right way, and how do I smell today, and all of these other concerns. And really, if you've been around people who are relatively awake, you'll notice that there's just a natural, casual beauty that they radiate without any effort, without any attempt to perfect themselves, because they know who they are. They know that God is expressing them, and they don't have any investment in the ego anymore. It says, Heaven, my holiness remains the light of heaven and love of God. It is not what is beloved of you secure. So in other words, we're being told that God has established your identity in eternity. So it is secure. You can never cease to be as God created you. You can indulge the ego and believe that you're something else, but that's always going to be a high maintenance journey. You're always going to be picking up the pieces and fixing the broken parts of your identity. Is not the light of heaven infinite? And this once again gives us a different sense of identity. The light of heaven, we are that light that God is expressing. Is not your Son my true identity when you created everything that is? So the true identity that we express is the child of God. And that identity is preserved in perfection for eternity. And that gives you something to think about. You know, you're all stressing out, trying to make yourself ready for the new day, trying to outmaneuver the people around you, living in a defensive state, always on guard and alert to what's going on around you. And if you exist in God, then you have no concerns. There are no perpetrators that exist in God. There are no people out to do you in that exist in God. So it really is a radical shift of identity that we're talking about here. It is removing yourself from identifying and clinging to the ego and stepping into a state of grace, knowing that you live completely and totally in God. As it was stated in the New Testament, I live and move and have my being in God. See, and once you're in that state of consciousness, even just briefly throughout the day, if you can stop and still your mind and step into that idea, then all of a sudden the age factor no longer is a concern, and the weight factor and the height factor and the hair coloring and the polished nails and all these other things, all these other vanities begin to just kind of melt away. But at the same time, you start to radiate a beauty that is not a part of this mortal realm. Now, everyone around you will be sensitive to that, will begin to observe, wow, this person is really glowing from within. There is an inner beauty that is coming forth. See, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a no-maintenance lifestyle where we're not always trying frantically to fix ourselves. So as we slide into our godhood, into the state of godness that we dwell in, it gives us a sense of comfort and ease and peace. And you can't ask for more out of life than that. Continuing along with the lesson, it says, now we are one in shared identity with God, our Father, as our only source, and everything created part of us. So we're given a different idea of what the world actually consists of when we move in that direction of identifying with our true self, because all of a sudden we realize that this objectified world in reality is just an attention grabber. We've got all these objects around us, and they're shiny and bright and bubbly and very compelling and very seductive. See, and we get caught up in consumerism, we get caught up in fixing things, we get caught up in politics, we get caught up in religion. But the real world doesn't have any of those components, because there is only one thing that the real world is made of, and that is love. And love is life, and life is love. See? And God is life, and God is love. So there is only God. There is only bliss. You know, you think you had a great night of sex back there in September of last year, that you're still rumbling around in the back of your mind. Well, once you attain that highest level of union with God, the atonement, the merging, the becoming one with God, the ecstatic experience is so far beyond this paltry physical grunting and groaning that we imagine love to be. You know, sexuality, when you really look at it, everybody's down in their hands and knees and grunting and panting. And this has become the ideal. But imagine an experience that takes you into such a state of bliss that it is completely and totally non-communicable. You cannot describe the experience. That is the ecstasy of union with God. So we're being propelled out of this physical world and all of these little baubles that have seduced us as we begin our return back to that state of grace, of existing completely, totally, and entirely in the I and mind of God. It says, and so we offer blessings to all things, uniting lovingly with all the world, which our forgiveness has made one with us. So as we begin to stop living in that state of judgment, where we're always looking around us and either holding things up as being fabulous and beautiful, or else condemning things as being horrible and miserable. Once we step out of that dualistic experience, all of a sudden we begin to see behind the illusion, behind that tree, behind that blade of grass, behind that cow standing out in the field, underneath all these things, we begin to see the totality of God. So these appearances, these things that we have used to hide God, to obscure God from us, all of a sudden start to dissolve away. And we can incorporate the love that exists in creation, because that's what creation is. Creation is love expressed. And we bring everything into a state of union within ourselves. Imagine that, a world where there is nothing that is scary. There is nothing that has the power to in any way harm you. Just think about the idea for a minute, where you go through life day by day without any fear and without any sense of reservation from expressing yourself naturally, comfortably, easily, as the perfect being that you actually are. So that's what we're working on. That's what we're trying to attain here. We are looking at a way to change our thinking so that we are no longer focusing on the illusory world of objects. We are stepping away from the idea of God and. There is no God and. You know, you may believe there is God and Satan, God and, you know, Donald Trump, and God and this person, that person, whatever. Hillary Clinton, all of these different personalities that are constantly assailing us on the news and in social media, etc. Well, as you begin to awaken to truth, you realize that there is no and. There is only God. And your little mind has created all these conflicting illusions that are out there. So it's very demanding in a lot of ways, especially early on in your journey back to God. It would seem that all of these paradoxes are not able to be resolved, because you bump into a table, you know, you get in your little car and drive into a tree down at the end of the street. All of these different physical sensations are coming at you and trying to convince you that the physical world is real. And it's like walking on the invisible bridge. You know, you have to take that leap of faith. You have to take that first step to confront fear. But when you encounter fear, if you toe-to-toe with it, and if you stand solid in your truth, which is, I am not a body, I am a spiritual being, and you can't hurt me, then fear actually turns to panic as it turns and runs away. And that's really the way we want to live. We want to live fearlessly. And that doesn't mean going out and jumping out of an airplane or bungee jumping or whatever. The way to live fearlessly is to confront every element in your life that is telling you that you are not perfect and that you do not exist in God. And just stare it down. Just look at it and continue to affirm the truth, and to know that God will support you as you affirm that truth. So, you know, it's not an easy journey. I will definitely give you that. It is a journey that takes a lot of effort, and you have to be committed to it 24 hours a day. But the rewards are so remarkable and so indescribable and so astonishing that you'll wonder why you had never really looked deeper into life in all of your travels and travails in this mortal world. You know, and again, we have to be truthful. Every time you look in your environment, everywhere you look in your environment, you're going to see a representation of death. And that is what we have created unknowingly by our desire to separate ourselves from God. God is life. Anything else but God is death. It's a very simple polarization. We have created duality here. God, life. Ego, death. That's the way it works. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the discussion this evening. We'll continue to work on some of the other lessons. There's a lot of things going on as far as shifting in human consciousness. We are getting to a level where a lot of people are starting to entertain the idea that maybe there is more to life than just these physical experiences. And as the internet continues to disseminate this information throughout the world, we are beginning to see an awakening that is really, a very divine process. And it's here for all of us. You can engage. And if those around you are not tolerant of that, that's all right, because that gives you an opportunity to do your forgiveness work. If your great-grandmother or your Uncle Tom or whoever it is looks at you like you're a lunatic and attacks you every time you open your mouth when you're talking about non-duality, that's actually a good thing, because that's causing you to get into that space where you are forgiving and releasing and blessing the people around you. And that's what we want to be doing. We want to be a blessing to this world. We didn't come here to condemn it, although our ego is very happily engaged in condemnation. But who we are as our spiritual truth, the Christ of God, we are here to love and forgive and to see the perfection beyond the veil of that human element. So you can look into the eyes of the angriest, nastiest person in the world and know that behind all of that shadowy, dark, nasty energy, there is the Christ. There is that perfect spiritual being. They may be having a hell of a bad dream, but part of your job is to look beyond the dream and affirm the truth of who they are. So, if you are interested in A Course in Miracles, I am going to post my website here. So if you scroll down, you'll be able to see it. And it is at www.themiracle, CITHIN.org, themiraclewithin.org. And you'll find all kinds of information on Course in Miracles and ways of contacting me and ways of getting involved in different projects with the Course. I do hope that you take the book and give it a spin. You know, it's effortless. You do not have to buy it. There is no way that it could be made more accessible. All you have to do is just set your dead ass down and play on the computer and see what kind of process begins to occur within your own mind, within your own thought system. Because that's what A Course in Miracles is. It is a thought system wherein we replace the thought system of our ego with the truth of God. And that is the most powerful commitment you could ever make in your human existence. So anyway, I'll be back in 1 week. We'll be talking more about A Course in Miracles. And in the interim, get out there, share the love, pass the love around, and know that you are loved and blessed forever, that you exist in eternity. And whatever problems, whatever trials and tribulations that you imagine that you are having, if you will just stand firm and confront the fear and know that God is holding your hand, you will get through all of these different conditions. So I will see you in 1 week. Have a very blessed entrance into autumn.